Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. John, on September 2nd, Prime Minister Trudeau and Yukon Premier Silver announced $360 million in funding for the Yukon Resource Gateway project. A number of juniors with projects in the Yukon issued congratulatory press releases. What's this all about, and does it affect any of our Discovery Watch juniors?
This joint program between Yukon and the federal government is intended to open up the Yukon to greater development. There is already an existing network of 650 kilometers of road. The two areas that are targeted for these improvements, remember, they're not actually extending any roads, they are simply improving roads. One area, what they call the Nahanni area, is in the southeast of the Yukon, where there are not a large number of juniors. The other is what they call the Dawson Range, which stretches south of Dawson City, which is the Klondike region. What is not quite clear is which roads exactly will get the funding to be improved. There's some suspicions that maybe they'll all be closer to Dawson, where the placer operations are. What we are hoping is that the White Gold District, which was opened up in sort of 2010 when Underworld discovered the Golden Saddle deposit, about 1 million ounces, which Kinross bought for about just under 150 million. That led to a staking spree in the area, all of which, of course, was originally triggered by Sean Ryan's own geochemical sampling activities in this area. That led to the coffee discovery by Kaminak Gold, which Goldcorp bought early last year for about $500 million, and is developing a heap leach operation that's going to produce just short of 200,000 ounces a year. And White Gold itself, which is the new vehicle for Sean Ryan, it is the largest landholder in the region, and it is conducting a brute force geochemical sampling program to build an enormous database for future focused exploration. They have also acquired the Golden Saddle deposit from Kinross, so now we have two big shareholders, just under 20% each, Agnico Eagle and Kinross, backing White Gold. But the other Discovery Watch juniors that we have been following, such as ATAC Resources with its Rakla belt, that's more northeastern Yukon. Barrick has farmed into that. They've been reporting some interesting results. And then Goldstrike Resources, with its Plateau project, Newmont farmed into that. That's also away from this area where the money is going to be spent. In terms of Discovery Watch juniors that would benefit from the sort of shot in the arm that this spending gets, it would be Independence Gold Corp, Randy Turner's company, which we talked about last year with its Boulevard deposit. It adjoins to the southwest of the Coffee project. Last year they conducted a reverse circulation drill program to follow up geochemical anomalies, in particular in the sunrise-sunset zone. Results were ambiguous last year. The stock sort of ended the year with a flop. This year they are going in with oriented core drilling, and this allows them to see the structures, because the key here is to find out where are the high-grade gold zones. Unlike in the Coffee area where the mineralization is oxidized, allowing Goldcorp to develop a heap leach operation, in this southern area it is all still sulfides, never oxidized, quartzite hosted. Kendra Johnson is currently the interim president. Randy Turner in early July took a leave of absence for 6 months to attend to a family situation. She has just returned from the property, and her initial observation is that the geology is extremely complex. Lots of folding before the mineralization came in, folding afterwards. For people hoping that they can identify a high-grade zone, this is probably bad news. I suspect that at the end of the day, it'll involve trying to delineate a low-grade, open-pittable type of resource that's good for the optionality trade. Independence Gold is also completing a 600 sample geochemical program covering the peripheries of the project. Past work focused in the middle, which helped illuminate the sunrise-sunset zone. By the end of this season, they'll have a complete soil geochemical map of the property. They've also gone in there with a geoprobe, which is a type of a hammer drill that can only drill to 5 meters thick. The entire property is covered with overburden. There's no outcrop anywhere. So in the areas that in the center of the property that didn't kick the big sunrise-sunset style anomaly, but they did get interesting blips of anomalies, they are in there with the geoprobe this year, drilling down maybe 2 meters into the bedrock and getting a better understanding of the distribution in the bedrock in this area. I suspect, however, that what all this season's work will do is not deliver a substantial discovery, that instead it'll set the stage for further work. If you want to cross your fingers, you've got to pin your hopes on the Henderson property, which is to the north of the Coffee property. This property has a nuggety quartz nugget associated placer gold. They are currently conducting a RAB program, rotary air blast. This can go to 100-meter depth. This is an all-or-nothing shot. They have a suspicion as to where the placer gold came from. They are out there drilling now, and it's either there or it's not. So that's the one potential right now for a surprise discovery this season from Independence Gold's Yukon activities.
John, are there any other juniors potentially affected by the Yukon Resource Gateway project that we should be keeping an eye on this summer?
One company that pointed out that at least believes that it knows which roads are going to be upgraded is Western Copper and Gold, which owns the Casino copper gold deposit, for which they've done feasibility work, and they're hoping to attract eventually a buyout for somebody to develop it. In a press release, they pointed out that 82 kilometers of road heading in their direction will be upgraded to the standard needed for their operation. They still need to build an additional 126 kilometers of road to reach the property, which they'll have to fund from their own sources. But this possibility that 82 kilometers will be upgraded by the government helps with the future potential buyout and development of the Casino project. Now, Western Gold and Copper is already an existing discovery that was made in the 80s. It's been around for a long time. The junior that we should be keeping an eye on as we head into the fall is Caribou Rose Resources. It's not currently a recommendation of mine, but I have owned shares in this for a long time. It's run by a couple of toiling geologists called Glenn Garrett and Bill Morton. Their Canadian Creek deposit property adjoins to the west of the Casino property and to the southeast of the Coffee property. Historically, all the effort has been focused on what they call the Casino trend, which is a belt of rocks that stretches westwards from the Casino project. There is soil geochem there. They have tested IP anomalies in the past, but never delivered a discovery. It's literally next door to where the open pit will eventually be for Casino, but there seems to be no reason for Western Copper to need to own this property, and that reflects the consensus that, well, if there's a porphyry system there, they would have found it by now. But the focus this year has been the northern half of the Canadian Creek property, where soil sampling has outlined an east-west trending antimony and arsenic anomaly with a somewhat southwards offset gold anomaly. And this part has never been drilled because prior to the Coffee discovery, those rocks were all regarded as, not capable of hosting anything. It's different from the quartzites that are to the northwest on the Boulevard property where Independence Gold is doing its work. What Caribou Rose has done is it's drilled 24 shallow angled holes with reverse circulation, 100-meter maximum length, targeting what from the geophysics, what they infer to be structures that may host gold. It's in essence pretty much a blind drilling program supported by a general geochemical anomaly. With RC, it's very difficult to tell what you have. They expect to get their assays by early October, and hopefully, if they have hit a structural zone that's enriched with gold, they're off to the races with a new discovery. It only has about 50 million shares fully diluted and with 100% in this location, and the fact that people are going to be taking this entire white gold district even more seriously in the wake of the Yukon Resource Gateway project. This is a big plus for a small junior like Caribou Rose Resources.
Discovery Watch with John Kaiser will be back right after the break.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, last week you talked about a possible sell-off this week when 27 million units of Novo Resources bought at 60 cents a share 4 months ago come free trading. Late Friday afternoon, Newmont dropped a bombshell that it had sold a 9.9% position to a mystery buyer at just $1.60 compared to a $3.91 stock price. How has this played out so far?
There was a lot of nervousness over the weekend because Newmont indicated the sale had taken place on August 31st when the stock was still about $4, and the market immediately saying, wow, that's a 60% discount from the market. If they're willing to sell, they originally had about almost a 15% interest in Novo Resources. If so, they're selling this for $1.60 when the market is $4. Boy, that's not exactly a sign of confidence in the potential of the project. So the market was pretty braced for a brutal Tuesday, but it turned out that the mystery buyer was Kirkland Lake Gold. And in addition to buying this 9.9% stake in Novo Resources, they agreed to take down a private placement of 14 million units at $4, putting $56 million into Novo's treasury. So that was actually a very positive development. The stock has jumped up to jumped over to $4.50. It has pulled back to the $4 level now that people are realizing, okay, the company's got $70 million in the treasury. It's just getting started on assessing the Purdy's Reward ground where they'd have work permits and full title to the property. They won't have title to the down dip lands until maybe six or more months from now. So the chance of proving WITS 2.0 by stepping down dip, 5-10 kilometers and intersecting the same target horizon and showing the market that, well, it's not just a local freak show, it is laterally extensive. The market's sort of settling in, okay, we have a bit of a waiting period. Now, the interesting thing about the Newmont sale is that this agreement was struck in early July when the company had just put out their results with the jackhammer video and showing the gold nuggets, and actually explained fully why they had staked 10,000 square kilometers on the Pilbara of northwestern Australia. Newmont had bought its stock in 2013. because it believed in WITS 2.0 potential in the Beaton's Creek area. But when that failed to deliver, and Novo settled into just developing Beaton's Creek as a 400,000 ounce per year, 300,000, 400,000 ounce total gold mine, Newmont lost interest. And when the stock jumped up, they'd already been bugging Novo to find them a home for their stock. Kirkland Lake happened to be interested, most likely due to Eric Sprott, who is the biggest shareholder of Novo and probably also the biggest shareholder in Kirkland Lake. So they did a deal fairly early on. Newmont apparently tried to back out of the deal, but it was a deal where, Kirkland Lake could have been forced to buy the stock at $1.60 after it tanked back to 60 cents where it started. So the deal wasn't forced. It closed on that day. It was not really at a deep discount to the market. It was probably a mistake Newmont made early on, and it got caught with an agreement. And so it wasn't really the negative thing that the market initially interpreted over the weekend. But going forward now, Novo has the money needed to support a $1.5 to $2 million a month burn rate as it gets going. And now we have to sit back and wait for the results to demonstrate that indeed the WITS 2.0 scenario is the reality that's going to make this potentially the biggest gold discovery in over 100 years.
We'll have John Kaiser's closing comments right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. John, have any Canadian juniors showed up claiming to own land in the Pilbara region of Australia?
There have been no Canadian juniors that have announced we have acquired land in the Pilbara region that is covered with tedious basalts under which we hope are gold mineralized conglomerate beds of the WITS 2.0 variety. However, a number of Australian juniors have woken up and said, wait a minute, we are huge landholders in this area. And one of them is De Grey Mining, which owns almost over 100 kilometers of strike, covering what turn out to be basement rocks. These are the older 3.1 billion plus Pilbara craton rocks, the old sort of greenstone types, which host gold in shears and veins and splays and so on. And they call this the Turner River Indy project. Only a little corner of it is covered by the Mount Rowe basalt, which is probably more by accident. And that happens to be an island of basalt in the north. And Novo has staked all such islands that were available on the assumption that the Mount Rowe basalt, when it flooded this region after the conglomerate beds were put down, served as kind of a protective shield for these conglomerate beds. But so far, I have not seen any Australian juniors definitively show that they own this sort of ground. Novo did a pretty good job tying up, applying for exploration licenses on everything that was available. And of course, the basalt rocks are not something that you really want to own. The farther south there are the iron deposits, and of which 2.0 is a reality. it may turn out that the big iron companies, Rio Tinto, BHP, Fortescue, they might actually be sitting on a lucrative slab of WITS 2.0 gold. So I think Novo probably has got most of it. There may be a few Australian juniors that turn out to have some land with this potential. But if you're looking for sort of a area play or conceptual similarity type play, you're going to have to look elsewhere. And last week I introduced a new bottom fish recommendation called Inventus Mining Corp, which owns probably the best Paleoplacer prospect in Canada. And it's in Ontario, southern Ontario, in what's called the Huronian Basin. It's that area sort of east of the Sudbury Basin. This basin formed between 2.4 to 2.1 billion years ago. In the older 2.4 billion year horizons created these conglomerate-type beds, and in the area where Inventus owns the Pardo project, it has established that there is WITS 1.0 style alluvial gold in these conglomerate beds. And it's been, this project has been chased after for over a decade. Duncan McIver worked on it more than 10 years ago. He passed away a number of years ago from cancer. The project ended up being taken over by Endurance Gold. Inventus, through a little junior called Ginguro, came along and surrounded it and eventually optioned the original Pardo project. This project has been frustrating because it's the same problem that Novo had at Beaton's Creek. How do you reliably measure the gold content when it is in this nugget form? And in addition, in this area, and this is a problem some fear is going to materialize also in the Karatha region, in the Pardo region, there has been local block faulting, which has lifted segments of the conglomerate beds up or down, so that it's not some continuous sheet that you just drill off with stratigraphic drilling and then it all hangs together. You actually have to find where it is in the vertical dimension. This company was basically broke in June. The biggest backers have been Robert McEwen and Eric Sprott. They just finished a $1 million financing in which Rob McEwen put up $500,000. The new CEO is Stephen Spears. Last year they bought out Endurus's 30% interest, so they now have 100%. They're taking a 1,000-ton bulk sample, and they're also embarking on a drilling program to map the lateral distribution. So they're trying to kill two birds with this winter program. One has come up with a reliable measure for this stuff. The other is to show the lateral extent that there could be 14 million tons of this material, depending on the thickness. If you assume it's going to be 2 meters thick, if you go to 3 meters thick, you could have a 20 million ton footprint. This type of project has historically been a hard sell. I recommended it as a bottom fish because I believe that as the Karatha project of Novo gains traction, there's going to be a lot of interest. The money will become available for properly testing this system. So this little company is going to go from struggling to suddenly having all kinds of money handed to it to properly demonstrate the gold content, as if this were a diamondiferous kimberlite where you have to do bulk sampling as a matter of fact, but which historically the juniors would never have been able to afford on their own. So this is a new Discovery Watch candidate. It's the best sort of Precambrian Paleoplacer deposit in North America. There are probably similar extent, but it's all covered under younger cover rocks, so you're going to have to drill blind through it. We're not yet ready to see the market go chasing after the potential Pardo horizon in the cobalt embayment, but for a little junior like Inventus Mining Corp, this is a relatively cheap alternative to the Novo story, which is commanding a $600-800 million valuation at this stage, whereas this little company only has a $20-30 million valuation. It doesn't have the scale because the amount of land it owns is substantially smaller. Novo's big valuation comes from the possibility that it owns more than half of WIT's 2.0 scenario. In this case, we have what I've called just a local freak show type of scenario, where the goal is to show that there's maybe 5 million plus ounces here that's at a grade that can be economically mined. And of course, this company, as it starts getting its a better understanding of everything, will be in a position to expand its position and go elsewhere if this play does evolve as I think it will.
John, you're going to be in the Vancouver area on the weekend of the 15th. Why are you coming to town?
The Metals Investor Forum is having a one-day show on Friday, September 15th. Inventus is one of the companies that's in my suite. Next week we'll talk about the other ones. This conference has 4 or 5 speakers. The companies are all recommendations of the speakers, and the delegates are all subscribers of the speakers. Anybody who wants to register should go to my website and find the link to the Metals Investor Forum and try and get in. We are probably close to the cap, so you may have to go on the waiting list. But this should be a very strong show because the market is shaping up for a very good fall.
John, thanks for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.